Let's go Dolphins! What if I told you that the Miami Dolphins are about to make the most shocking and controversial decisions in recent franchise history? I'm talking about a total reset, a move that could shake the entire foundation of the team. And no, this isn't some wild rumor. This is real. The front office is already working behind the scenes. Names you thought were untouchable, gone. Faces of the franchise, on the chopping block. And it's all happening faster than anyone expected. Some of you are going to be furious. Others, relieved. But nobody, and I mean nobody, is walking away from this news without an opinion. So stick with me, because I'm about to reveal everything I've uncovered about this explosive situation. But before I go any further, if you're a true Dolphins fan who lives and breathes aqua and orange, do me one favor right now, smash that like button. And let's see who the real ones are. If you've been riding with the Dolphins for over 20 years, comment below. Go Dolphins! My heart bleeds aqua and orange. You're going to want to hear every second of what comes next. Now let's break this down. John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley, the new shot callers, don't view Tua as the future of the franchise. Point blank. And even though it might make financial sense to hold onto him for one more season as an overpriced backup, potentially saving $5 to $10 million, they don't want him on the roster. They don't want him taking up a spot. That's how far the organization has mentally moved on. The front office is trying to wipe the slate clean, and Tua is the first big domino. According to Schefter, Miami would like to trade Tua this offseason and are even willing to pay a portion of his salary to make it happen. But here's the catch. Finding a trade partner is extremely unlikely unless another team is willing to take him for peanuts while the Dolphins eat most of the deal. This is why insiders believe a release is the most probable outcome. That's right, a clean cut. Goodbye Tua, no compensation, just cap space. Now to the juicy part. Schefter named 5 teams that are reportedly monitoring both Tua and Kyler Murray. The New York Jets, Atlanta Falcons, Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh Steelers, and Minnesota Vikings. While none of these teams are locks to pull the trigger, all of them have been on QB watch lists for weeks. Still, the reality is this, unless one of those franchises is desperate enough to take Tua with Miami covering most of his salary, a trade is nearly impossible. And even if one team bites, don't expect anything more than a day 3 pick in return. A 7th rounder, maybe a 6th, or Miami having to package a pick just to get Tua off the books. This is also where it gets financially complex. Miami could cut Tua with either a pre-June 1st or post-June 1st designation. Each comes with different cap implications. Cutting him before June 1st means a higher dead cap hit now but better savings in 2027. Post-June 1st saves around $32 million in 2026 but spreads the dead cap hit across multiple years. And let me tell you something, every indication points toward Miami making this move official before March 13th. That date matters because that's when $3 million of Tua's 2027 salary becomes guaranteed if he's still on the roster. So no, they're not keeping him around. That deadline is a ticking time bomb, and the Dolphins are not about to let it go off. And if you thought this was just about Tua, buckle up. Tyreek Hill is in the exact same boat. Let that sink in. Tyreek Hill, one of the most explosive wide receivers in the league, is likely done in Miami. His 2026 cap hit is an astronomical $52 million. No matter how great he's been, no one was going to carry that kind of number, especially not a new regime that didn't draft him, trade for him, or give him that deal. Like Tua, the Dolphins will almost certainly cut Hill, and like Tua, they'll do it with a post-June 1st designation. Why? Because that move alone saves Miami over $35 million in 2026, compared to just $22 million with a pre-June 1st cut. The math simply makes too much sense. And the front office isn't going to let nostalgia or name value stand in the way of clearing the books. The strategy here is clear. Designate both Tua and Tyreek Hill as post-June 1st cuts now, get the savings in June, and prepare for a massive roster retool. That move alone would take the Dolphins from a projected minus $6.4 million in cap space to plus $7.8 million. That's a swing of over $14 million, and suddenly, Miami is back in the green and has flexibility to operate in free agency. And don't think it stops with those two. Bradley Chubb and Minkah Fitzpatrick could be next in line. Cutting or trading them post-June 1st could create up to $50 million in additional space when paired with smarter moves like extending Jordan Brooks or Aaron Brewer. So, Dolphins fans, this isn't just a player purge, it's a full financial and cultural reset. Alright, let's keep going, because the story doesn't end with just Tua Tagovailoa and Tyreek Hill. What we're witnessing right now is not just a roster shakeup, it's a total identity overhaul in Miami. This is a power move by the new regime to redefine what the Dolphins are going to look like over the next 5 years. And honestly, it's a gamble. A big one. When you move on from your starting quarterback and your top wide receiver in one offseason, you're telling the league, we're not scared to start from scratch. And that level of boldness, that's either going to catapult this franchise toward the Super Bowl, or it's going to blow up spectacularly. Now let's talk about the implications. Cutting both Tua and Tyreek post-June 1st gives Miami that all-important cap flexibility. We're talking about a projected plus $7.8 million after those moves. But here's where it gets interesting. Miami can take that space, and with a few smart restructures and roster decisions, they can be sitting on close to $50 million in available cap room. That's not chump change. That's real power in free agency, especially if they choose to go after mid-level guys who fit the system rather than splashy names. Think about it like this. If you move off Tua, you've cleared the path for a new QB1. That could come through the draft. That could come via trade. Or maybe even a short-term veteran while the front office finds their guy. But let's be honest, the Tua era wasn't getting us past the first round of the playoffs. And while he did some good things in aqua and orange, the cold reality is that he wasn't elevating the franchise in the way other elite QBs are expected to. His injuries, inconsistency, and contract situation made it nearly impossible to justify keeping him around. The writing was on the wall, now it's being spray-painted in neon. And Tyreek Hill, as electric as he's been, we have to face the facts. That $52 million cap hit in 2026 is absurd. Even for a guy who still draws double coverage, changes the game with a single play, and has been a superstar for Miami. That number is unmanageable in today's cap structure, especially with no guaranteed Super Bowl window. He was always a short-term weapon. The second that contract was signed, the expiration date was already printed. And now, with a new GM and defensive-minded head coach who had no hand in bringing him in, there's zero emotional attachment. Business is business. But here's what makes this even more compelling: the ripple effect across the roster. Once you move off your quarterback and top WR, everyone else becomes expendable. Bradley Chubb, post-June 1st cut gives you around $20 million. Minkah Fitzpatrick, you save roughly $15 million. Add that to the flexibility gain from moving Tua and Tyreek, and you're suddenly talking about nearly $50 million in space. That is a reset button Miami hasn't had in years. Now imagine pairing that with a smart draft class and a more physical, balanced roster. This isn't just about clearing space, it's about building a team that can last. And don't overlook the messaging here. This sends a clear statement across the entire NFL. The Miami Dolphins are not afraid to blow it up and build smarter. They're not chasing headlines. They're chasing sustained success. This front office isn't interested in keeping players because of past performances or fan popularity. They're doing it the hard way, but potentially the right way. Now, the flip side is the risk. The moment you cut Tua and Tyreek, you open yourself up to immediate criticism if the next moves don't pan out. If you can't land a legitimate QB or your offense sputters next season, people will be calling for heads to roll. But that's part of the game. Big risk, big reward. In terms of what comes next, expect Miami to be strategic, not reckless, in free agency. Don't expect them to throw money at aging stars or overpriced names. If they target anyone, it'll be guys with upside, scheme fits, or younger talent who can grow with the team. Think multi-year deals that are backloaded to preserve flexibility. And don't rule out trades either. Miami is in a better position than many think, especially if they get creative with contracts, extensions, and smart signings. Oh, and keep your eyes on the draft. With a likely Tua departure and a Tyreek-sized hole on offense, Miami could absolutely package picks to move up, especially if there's a quarterback they love. That's where this offseason could get explosive. We've seen this before, when a team clears space and goes hunting for their franchise QB. That might be the next big move. So Dolphins fans, get ready. This offseason isn't just big, it's defining. And the moves that happen between now and June are going to shape the next 5 years of this franchise. You want to change? You got it. Now let's see if they get it right. If you stuck with me through this breakdown, drop a like on this video, hit that subscribe button, and share it with another Dolphins fan who needs to hear the truth. More updates are coming as we get closer to free agency and the draft, and I'll be here every step of the way. Don't go anywhere. Video on the screen now with more roster moves and inside info.